and how you doing? Welcome to Hibachi Talk. I'm here with my sidekick, Andrew, the security guy.
What's up, brother?
I'm Gordo, the tech czar, and we'd like to invite you to pull up a chair, towel, grab yourself a libation, and sit down and join us. Oh, there he is, Mini Drew, or what do you call him again?
Hillbilly.
Oh, Hillbilly, yes. Hillbilly is there, so in the house. So we're going to have an interesting show today. We have Alan Ito, who I've known for many, many years. And he heads up an organization known as the CIO Council of Hawaii, which is made up of a large number of the heavy hitter CIOs in town, and he's going to talk about what that organization does. It's kind of under the radar screen, and they're very influential in a lot of things that they have. But I'm not going to steal his thunder and going to let him come on and talk about that. And then Angus will be here with his usual shenanigans and whatever heck he's up to. But I thought, let's start off, let's set the tone now. We'll start off and we'll do, got one tech job, right? So we like this segment. We get some people sending stuff in and we post them up. So I got this one sent. It said, got one tech job. So here it is. And this is like why it takes so long to get streets built in Hawaii. look at this. They're playing. We call it tic-tac-toe, X's and O's. Look at this.
Nice.
Now, what was interesting, it started with in the left-hand corner there, it started with the manhole cover that had an X on it. And then they really thought through it all the way through.
Got a little creative.
This is a little creative. So,
wow.
You see the manhole cover's got the X on it, and then they went from there to create
So this is our Hawaii taxpayer dollars at work, or what do you think? Or is that a...
I guess. So, got one tech job.
Right on.
I love it.
That's awesome. Did you find that one, or was that
No, that one got sent to me.
That
so
was a donation?
Yeah, so I have some spies within the government government that send it to me. So again, we're going to talk about CIOs and what they do. I've been a CIO many a times in my career.
You seem to keep going to
I
that
bounced
position.
around that role. We jokingly used to say that anyone moved into that CIO didn't really stand for Chief Information Officer. It stood for career is over. That you weren't going to be there that long and before you got moved on to it.
And now it's sort of the linchpin of a lot of organizations, right? I mean...
We're no longer baggage. I mean, that's the good thing. It's like we're no longer baggage.
How long did that take?
Forever. So I can leave this pen alone.
We're valuable.
Yeah, we're valuable, please. But it's interesting. There's a lot of CIOs in town, a lot of CIOs around the country,
sure.
And it's just the role has just dramatically changed over the decades. And if you think about it, David Lasner, who was the CIO for the University of Hawaii, is now the president of the University of Hawaii.
Sure.
The former CIO for St. Francis Healthcare System, Jerry Correa, is now the president of St. Francis Healthcare System.
Okay.
Myself, former CIO at multiple places. Like I said, career is over as you bounce from one to the other. Now, chairman and CEO of my company.
Paxa, sure.
Paxa. So that's, it's the CIOs have become more recognized, and more of them are at the board table. There's less of them sitting back there. As part of the accounting department or finance department.
I was kind of wondering, where did the role evolve from as you watched it, like initially?
Okay, well, that's a good question. So if you think about it, when IT first got really started, it was just an arm of the accounting department.
Makes sense, sure.
You reported to the comptroller or the CFO, and you ran the financial systems, right? It was GRP and general ledger and accounts payable and your billing, and that was it. But then as it has evolved over the decades and where we are today, with the extreme case like mobile and what's happened with that, IT is no longer just a part of the accounting department. It is a pivotal part of your business. I mean, just I don't care if you're in banking, I don't care if you're in healthcare, I don't care if you're in the tourism industry, whatever it is, there is nothing that you can do without a robust technology game plan, governance, all of those kinds of things.
So do you think, have you watched the, that governance issue as policy and procedure starting to drive from the CIO, or is it, because I know from some of the boards we've addressed that they're not that well-versed in that type of policy procedure. So are they relying on the CIOs of these firms? Is that what they're looking for?
They're hoping, and they want the CIOs to do those kinds of things. So, like you were at a forum we were at on
Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and we were talking to a number of senior executive women who are on boards of very prominent companies in town and around the country, like the big banks and things like that. And the subject was, the role of IT and how and mitigation of risk and all those kinds of things. And it's interesting, the boards now are realizing they need to bring someone with technology acumen to the board of director table, not just someone sitting in the back office.
It was interesting watching that group, and they're hungry for the information now, where I don't know if before it was their ears were as open, or if they understood the I guess the relevance or the amount of risk that they're not aware of.
Right.
It was kept down and, oh, it's IT's problem or whatever, and now they're like, oh, this is our business problem.
It's not just an IT problem, it's a business problem. I mean, if you take a look, just in the paper this week, the Star Advertiser had this article about, 20,000 HMSA records hacked.
Sure.
Right, and then looking at it, and we're talking with Alan about it, we both noticed that, wait, they published an article, they're talking about one that just happened, but they published an article about one that happened before. So now we've got two hits.
No, somebody got one tech job.
So no one got no tech job. But the point being here is, like, you're now up to like 30-some-odd thousand medical records that have been hacked. And what was it that guy said the other day there about about being hacked?
Oh, there's those who are admitting, stating that they've been hacked, and those who don't know that they have.
Yeah,
was his
but
idea.
everybody has
like
been
it's
hacked.
already, you've already been penetrated.
You've already been penetrated.
It's just about when your data starts showing up out being sold or whatever.
And so you've got to be out there sitting looking at it. And this is where CIOs lose their jobs. I mean, the CIO for the state of Utah, great, been in that position for a number of decades. Very forward thinking, and the state of Utah records, one of the records groups got hacked. His CIO, his career was over.
Wow.
And it was all the result of a lower level tier employee who set up a server outside of the domain, outside of the firewalls, and brought data over from the DMV or something like that. And that particular server got hacked. And as a result of that, numerous records got recognized, and then going down the chain of command, this guy ends up
accountability goes uphill for sure.
Ends up losing his position because of something that he really didn't have any control over. But again, the buck always stops. When
you have to be aware, and that's they should have been able to detect, and I don't know the details, but you would hope they could have detected that connection, that outside connection to their network, right? Obviously, this hole opened up, and we talk about that a lot, about defense in depth, and I think that's what I think a higher level of these boards are not as aware of the kind of tools you can have. I think we talked about a quote from Bruce Schneer that said, amateurs hack, machines, and professionals hack people. Right. So the internal threat, the idea of getting to someone who you can get enough information from to work with versus trying to attack machines. Most of the big enterprises are pretty well protected. That's a harder way in.
Right.
And so, if you can get to these people, these lower level people, get them to try something or do something or give you some information that you can use against them, that's the target vector today.
That's the target factor. I mean, and it was funny, I got a text message from someone today who's always been afraid about going onto McDonald's or any coffee place.
Oh, like a Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they said, is it safe? And I said, well, if you were asking Andrew, it would be no.
No.
But if you're asking me, I would say yes, but make sure you've got your antivirus and all of those things up to speed. And so.
And what are you doing? What kind of information are you?
And I said, don't buy.
Yes.
Don't do shopping or any of that kind of stuff. If you're doing casual.
And if you have who's those people that run their home checkbooks? What's that?
Yeah.
If they don't have that on that machine.
Yeah, don't be doing that kind of stuff.
Be sensible with what information you're using.
But coming back to the CIO governance,
sure.
And you talked about the CIO governance, and that's true. A lot of things that we see there are a lot of companies that do not have that governance in place. And what that means is that people say, okay, what does it mean when I say CIO governance? Well, what's your strategic and operational plans for your company? And then what IT support do you need to execute on those? And what's the governance that you have over all of those particular projects that you are going to undertake to support what the plans of the business are? And then the governance oversees it, funds it, makes sure it comes in on time and on budget and all of those kinds of things. It's a big gap in a lot of corporations. You'll be amazed at how many of the large ones still do not have that, and it's still out there kind of doing either catch up or ready, fire, aim, those kinds of things.
Sure.
But you need it, and you can see it. I mean, I look at banking industry today. I mean, they have to in order to compete amongst themselves.
PCI 1, 2, 3. What I seem to find is that I'll ask them, I said, surely they have a fire escape plan, right? So they'll have some sort of
Right.
policy, some sort of procedure. But then as soon as you start asking about other policies related to physical security, workplace violence, whatever it might be, and specifically cyber, they don't have a policy at all. And then so no one's done even the risk assessment yet. They've not undertaken these assessments at a high enough level, or they did an assessment, but it stayed at a lower level, and no one applied that to the risk of what can put this business under. And that's what the board's responsible for. And so I think that hopefully soon they'll be requesting more of these assessments and having these things done so that they can develop a policy around protecting those assets, those things, those business processes or procedures that can be an end game for you, right? And even the PR program for if you get a data leak and all that stuff we talked about, if you lose one record or lose 10 or lose 1,000, what do you release? And what's your policy? What are you going to do?
That's a good point.
Sure.
It's like, if you get hacked and 5 records get taken, do you publicize that?
I think you better.
Or when it's 50 or 500 or 5,000 or 25,000.
Yeah, then you have to, right?
Then you have to. You're stuck because of certain laws. But do you tell them about 5? I mean, that could jeopardize your business.
But if you don't tell, and then
Yeah, well, but
you get exposed for not being transparent, right?
Yeah, I could lose business, and that would be another.
But what's that policy, and that procedure, all that needs to be written. Well, you gonna figure it out today when they come to you and say, you're the CIO, and they're like, hey, we lost 5 records, we caught the breach, but what do we want to do? And then you gotta, figure it out?
Clean up your desk, pack up everything you got, take all those awards down off the wall.
It's CIO time?
And on your way out the door, there's a guy from the media who's gonna talk to you and ask you about how things were going and what you're gonna do in your future career.
Ouch.
I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Ouch.
So we get asked a fair bit of times, what is the role of a CIO and what should a CIO do today? I mean, it's a very good kind of common question. And so we put some bullets together that we look, because we help companies try to find CIOs.
Sure.
Help them try. We're not a recruiter, but we get asked, and we go out there and we do what we can. But CIOs need to be like technologists, operators, and they have to be the catalyst for what goes on. Doesn't mean they have to be down there plugging the wires together and doing all those kinds of things. But they certainly do need to understand the industry. They can't be sitting out there and being and have not been in that industry and expect to come in as the CIO.
Yeah.
They have to be visionary.
I was gonna say some vision. I would think you need to be able to look forward and compare what you've got with where you need to get, and work on those risks as well.
I know. I got stories. I mean, I can remember. Let's go back not too far, but we'll go back. I remember when a calculator, a Texas Instrument calculator. I was the IT manager. There was no CIO. I brought in a computerized IT calculator to do some work that I was doing, and the accounting department refused to let me use it to do my analysis. They said, no, you have to come in and you've got to go here and use this comptometer, with thing, and but I couldn't use
like
this.
a ledger.
I couldn't use this, it was then $100 and some odd, TRS, whatever it was, to do all this stuff. They said, no, you can't use this. We can't trust this technology.
Yeah, they thought it would have an error. That's why. Okay.
And so,
wow.
So none of that.
You couldn't check it,
Fax machine, company I was working for, we said, we're going to bring this thing called a fax machine. A fax machine? We don't know. We got the mail, post office, whatever. So we bring it in. They force us to put it in the mailroom. No, you put it next to the person that's using it. You don't put it in the mailroom and then they have to go down to the mail. Yeah, and then you go down to the mailroom and get the fax. Oh, you're killing me. So all of those kinds of things. When the mobile devices were coming in, and every one of those is like it's been someone tried to stop it. Color monitors. When we first put color monitors in, I can still remember sitting in a board of directors meeting at a local company that was the CIO said, and they said to me across the room, said, "We don't need color. We don't need color. Why do they need color monitors on their desk? They don't need color." And I'm saying, well, this is a color world. We're not in a black and white world. I mean, red could be an alert. And, no, but we're not going to spend that extra money on color. Now look at us today. Yeah. Yeah, you just go, you're beside myself thinking about it.
That's that whole build technology curve. I talk about that a lot. There is the cost of early adoption versus the cost of mainstream adoption, and when do you pick things up? And that's I guess a part of that. It would be interesting to see sort of Alan's take on what his experiences have been over the years.
He's gone through it like this, right? So and then there's also the situation where the CIO needs to be opportunities to engage their peers, opportunities to engage their consultants and their resellers. They got to be able to communicate that in a non-tech form to the higher ups within the organization, of which they are now one. So those kinds of things. So that's another part that they have to come in, and And then the other things is like, they have to be they have to be the achievers. They've got to deliver and they've got to bring things in on time and do all of those kinds of things. Now, I've been yakking and yakking and yakking for the past 15 minutes, and guess what? It's time. I got to do my break. I had to do a break. We'll go grab Angus off of the beach and we'll bring him up, and then we'll be back in a couple of minutes. And thanks for watching us. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Here's the deal. I'm Jay Fidel. I'm the host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is the Energy Policy Forum's program on Wednesday. That's how we call Wednesday Energy Wednesday. We call it Energy Wednesday every Wednesday. Are you surprised? Okay, and we get guys like Jim Alberts here from Hawaiian Electric who can tell us what's really going on in energy. We want to be informed. It's so important. It's the most important initiative in our state. Clean energy is major, okay? And that's why we cover it on this show. That's the deal. What do you think, Sharon?
I think that's great. That's why we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, and we hope you all join us so we can hear people like Jim coming on our show and co-host Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here today. You've seen this. You heard what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and talk about the issues. Oftentimes, there isn't a good forum to bring these key issues out into the public, and this is a tremendous way to go about it. And the activity of this show is essential to keep talking about energy because, as you said, it's such an essential part of our lives that we need to pay attention to it and we need to think about the future.
Okay, Ray, your turn.
Well, this is a special time in the history of Hawaii where we're making some pretty radical changes in the way we use energy and generate energy. And this show is the one place you can count on coming to every Wednesday and hearing something about the latest issues that are on the table, being discussed, that will affect us all going forward. So come join us, and if you have some ideas you want to share with us about energy, give us a call and let us know. We'll put you up here and let you talk for an hour. So come see us.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Jim. It's great to be, from ThinkTech's point of view, it's great to have this show. We love the show. It's our most important show. So come around and listen to us 4 to 5 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
This is Alice Lee Hagan, host of ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show here at ThinkTech Hawaii is every Thursday from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. I bring in interesting guests from Hawaii, the mainland, and hopefully international guests in the future. Do join us on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. Aloha.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance. Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Aloha. Welcome back. Back to Hibachi Talk. We got Angus in the house. We got him off the beach. Angus, what's going on today, buddy?
Aloha, Drew. How you doing there, lad? Good to see you again.
Very well, sir.
Ah, it's awesome. Just an awesome
I like
day.
your hat sideways, man.
Yeah,
You're
we're doing the gangster mood today. We're out there, we're gangstering today. Anyway, Drew, I got a wee joke for you. You know, I always got a wee joke. You ever noticed that when they see the bagpipers walking down the street playing the bagpipes? You know, the question is, why are they always walking?
Why?
They're trying to get away from the sound. That's what's going on down there. Anyway, I normally have a gadget, I have a gadget and talk about a gadget, what's going on, and then, then I was going to talk about the CIO stuff, and then got it, and he went and took my stuff. So anyway, I got another wee story for you. How many CIOs does it take to screw in a light bulb? That's the question, right? Well, it depends. First of all, if you're not in the government, it takes a team of analysts and consultants, and they must ensure that the Sarbanes-Oxley requirements have been met and that the implementation is PCI compliant. So that's number one. So now, if you're in the government, you got another way. First of all, it's a trick question. CIOs don't change light bulbs. It's against the collective bargaining agreement. Agreements would be filed. Agreements would be filed before the end of the day. So that's what would happen if that happened to the CIO. Anyway, that's my tech segment today. Not too much tech, mostly fun. And we'll see you all again next week. And remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be. Aloha.
Good job, Angus. Angus is educating us about these CIOs and what they're really up to, depending on if it's government or not. Interesting. I like the collective bargaining agreement point as well. Well, welcome back. We're going to just get to it here today. Got our whole group, I think, coming up online. We're going to talk with Alan Lynn. Aloha, Alan. Welcome. Gordo, welcome back.
Alan, nice to see you, man.
Yeah, good
It's
seeing
always
you.
a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Same here.
So we'd like to get a little background on our guests and so on. So let's talk about, so where did you go to school? There's a fly or something. Where did you go to school? You know, are you a local boy?
I'm a local boy, Roosevelt grad.
Oh,
Yes,
hey,
hey.
let's hear it. I never went Hibachi private school either, so where's that? So,
Yeah, so Roosevelt and the University of Hawaii. Got my undergrad degree in mathematics.
Oh, okay.
And then I got my MBA, also from the University of Hawaii.
well, and what was your MBA in?
I focused in finance and accounting.
Okay, so you
Ah,
got your
so-
math, finance, and accounting, and then how did you get into IT?
You know, I started, so when I was at the university, I was working for some research projects, and they use computers to do statistical analysis.
Okay.
So we're
okay.
doing statistics using computers, and that's how I got into computers.
I'm seeing that finance thread already in the, we talked about
Wait,
that, how
it's-
the finance guys were early on, you know, in
Right.
mathematics too, you know,
Right.
coming
Yeah.
into IT, so good.
Yeah, so I worked for some research projects over at the university, and it was in healthcare.
Ah.
You know, so I was working in healthcare. After that, I left. I worked out in the public sector for a bit, did some consulting, and then got back into healthcare,
Yeah, and
and have been in it since.
I've known you for what, probably a good 20 years. Our paths have crossed many a times. Did
yeah.
you audit me one time? I'm trying to remember. I think back one time. Did you?
No,
Were you
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
I'm
think,
trying to remember. If I was going to start holding a grudge. Anyway, so talk about that. You filled the CIO role in many a hat.
yes, different organizations,
Yeah.
different size organizations.
What was the first one?
The first one was actually St. Francis.
Oh, okay,
Healthcare
CIO
System.
for St. Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So we had Lori Rasmussen on here, and you used to work with Lori over
Yes,
there.
yeah,
You
used
know,
to work
so-
with Ann Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jerry Correa, who's now the president, former CIO. So he worked there.
Did you start, was it a financial role that you came in there, or was it an IT role?
No, it was an
And
IT
so
role.
the CIO was an IT role by that time? Okay.
Right, so actually my title was System Information Officer.
Ah, see, system, we've moved on, so,
Yeah,
yeah. They're now chiefs, you know, we finally got the chief in there, but it used to be different names.
Yeah, so that was really interesting because this was at a time when St. Francis were actually two separate hospitals. You know, so there wasn't really a healthcare system put together yet. In fact, I was the second employee hired
Oh.
into the healthcare system.
Wow.
And at that time, it was Sister B's vision to really create an operating system. You know, so that's where technology was able
Right.
to come into play and really help make that a reality.
Wow.
So I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, but this is really like in the early times when the CIO was starting to become at the higher level within an organization.
Correct, right.
You were really, starting to be that visionary, the forefront, and those kinds of things.
Right.
What type of technology were they using in the hospitals at the time? Was
yeah, that's
it obviously HR and patient records? I'm just wondering what the.
You know, not even patient records. A
Oh,
lot of
wow.
it was billing. It
It
was
was- Okay.
billing
Okay.
and very accounting related.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of the accounting systems, no real EMRs yet. When I started at St. Francis, it was just talk about starting electronic medical record systems.
Yeah, so because EMR was not, electronic medical records weren't there and such, those all came in, order entry systems, remember that
Right,
stuff?
order entry,
All
right,
came in
correct.
later after
Yeah.
those kinds of
Yeah.
things. So you were very much involved in what was happening on there as St. Francis was going through its growth. Well, look, I got a text message. And then you moved on to consulting work and,
Well, I did consulting before St. Francis.
Okay.
So I was 10 years with a consulting firm. And that was really interesting because I had a chance to really get into businesses. And, so although my background was technology, you got to get into the business, see what the business strategy was, and then see how technology ties into all of
tied
that.
into all of that.
Yeah.
So now moving yourself forward, and we're going to talk about the CIO Council a little bit, but moving the web forward, you've come up to where you are today, and you're back in healthcare again.
I'm back in healthcare. Yeah. Can't get away from that industry. I
Well,
don't
it
know why.
seems like once you have knowledge in a vertical, though, it's you want to continue to share, and the technology lets you continue to promote vision inside that industry. So that makes
And
sense.
healthcare is such an interesting industry. I mean, it's going through so many changes right now. And not just on the technology side, but when you look at Obamacare and everything happening with the whole reimbursement situation,
Right.
I think there's a shift in how care is provided in terms of your independent practitioners versus people employed by hospitals and systems. So it's interesting and it's fun, challenging.
Now, can you share who you're working with now, or you want to just keep that secret, or
I can share. I'm working for Hawaii Pacific Health right now. I'm their information security officer.
So yeah, so information security officer, your favorite kind of guys. This is the guys you
Yeah.
love, and you're talking of not some small little hospital here. You're talking hospitals.
Right. We have 4 hospitals and a number of clinics. We have almost 7,000 employees, I think.
Wow. Wow.
And you have HIPAA and PCI, and you have all the problems. You know, you have
It
everything
makes
you
it-
have to address. That's a tough job.
Makes it interesting, keeps me up at night sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the things like we talked about earlier about
Yes,
the
yeah,
HMSAs.
Well, healthcare seems to have been hit by, they have more regulations because they're handling money, so they have the PCI, and then, of course, HIPAA was one of the first ones,
They've said, actually, the FBI came out with a warning to the healthcare industry last year that they are being targeted. And I believe the beginning of this year already, in the first quarter, the number of attacks and breaches against healthcare organizations are higher, even higher than they were last year.
And we can plug InfraGard a little bit. There's a special, I just saw a notice, there's going to be a briefing for healthcare. I think it's May 24th. It's an unclassified briefing you can attend. So,
Okay.
specifically about some of the healthcare attacks, I think the FBI is going to share.
So I'm kind of puzzled though. So what is it in a healthcare record that a hacker would want to get? Like
So they say on the black market now.
Okay.
So let's see, a healthcare record can get $50 for one record. In contrast, a credit card record might be $1, $2. So on the black market, healthcare information is very valuable. And the reason is that you can do so much more with healthcare data. Because you can do insurance fraud, you can do identity theft, you can do so much, because there's so much information.
Okay, now, so you can start pretending to be that person, getting some kind of treatment or whatever, getting reimbursements, Medicare, Medicaid.
And when you think about it, I mean, so in some situations, people are concerned about, well, someone got my social security number.
Right.
Think about the face sheet. What's on the face sheet on a healthcare record? I mean, there's all of that demographic information, all of that identifying information.
Right.
And in healthcare, it's almost always accurate.
Yeah.
Because if it's not accurate, it could affect the care that you're
The
getting.
type of treatment. So even so, your family history,
Correct.
mother's maiden name. How's that for, secret question?
Everything.
I mean, all of that stuff
there's
is
a lot out there.
on that, your address, obviously, but, and previous addresses in some cases and such. Yeah, so I guess it is a lot more deeper than I was just thinking, okay, well, it's just what's
Like your emergency contact info, which can be
which
used
then you
against
get access to that, their phone numbers
Right.
that may not be published.
It's easy to call those and fish those people, right? But,
Right, and-
something happened, or this is Kaiser calling, and then they're getting information from your emergency contact about you, and then nothing's happened, right? Because are you going to say, oh, you're not going to tell, you're going to think it's them. How else would they have known? There's a lot of fraud around that.
And then you brought up phishing, right?
Yeah.
So once you get that information, they can do spear phishing.
Yes.
And go directly into individuals within the organization. Hit them with emails with links or attachments that could then expose malware into their environment.
And it looks like an inquiry from the actual patient. It's someone using their information.
Oh, it's terrific, terrific.
So
Okay,
think
we're
about
gonna
that.
come back and talk about CIO Council,
Okay,
which is what
great,
got you here,
Yeah.
and we'll take a little bit of a break,
Pay some bills.
Thanks. Refresh your libations, and we'll see you in a minute.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island. I work in the ER there. But on Tuesday afternoons, I get to come and spend 45 minutes to an hour with Jay Fidel and the ThinkTech staff. They're terrific professionals. They help us to bring some of the leading cutting-edge topics here across our state to you. So you can join us at our show on healthcare in Hawaii to talk with leaders from across all the spectrum of health in our state, or you can join us for any other show where we talk about economic development or tourism, or some really eclectic programs too. So really, we'd love to see you here on our show. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for supporting us.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com, We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Aloha, and how you doing? Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. We're here with Alan Ito, who's the chairman of the board of the CIO Council of Hawaii. We're going to talk to him about that. And I got Drew, the security guy. He's here with me as well. So, Alan, we've spent a little bit of time on your intro and so on. So let's tell us about the CIO Council. What is the CIO Council?
Okay, the CIO Council is an organization of CIOs, or the top IT person in organizations. So it could be the IT director if you don't have a CIO, IT manager, if there's not a CIO, especially in smaller organizations. So it was founded back in 2008, and Gordon, you were the founder
I was
of
the
it.
founder,
Oh,
yes.
hey, that's why he's plugging it. Good deal.
I was looking at our articles of incorporation, and there's Gordon Bruce's name right
right
there.
on.
I paid for all of that out of my own pocket,
Yeah.
so you know.
With
It was
Bitcoin.
visionary.
With Bitcoin, yeah.
Visionary, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's a great organization. It was initially formed to do education and collaboration between organizations in Hawaii related to disaster recovery. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So it was pre-disaster and post-disaster coordination and communications. But since 2008, it's really expanded beyond that. It's been an opportunity for the CIOs to get together on a monthly basis. We've had different educational sessions, different speakers come in talking about things like security, different applications, different technologies. Last year, in 2014, what we did was, as a CIO Council, we said, we really want to look at the availability of technical resources here in the state that can go in and work for our organizations. So beginning last year, we started bringing in speakers from the higher education, actually not just higher education, but educational institutions. So we had speakers come in from the university's ICS program. We had speakers come in from the business school, Honolulu Community College. We had a speaker come in from a high school.
MidPac Institute?
Yeah, MidPac, correct.
Paul Turner.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guest on our show.
Yeah, and they're doing some neat stuff. I mean, really neat things in technology. We even had a preschool president come in and talk about how they're leveraging technology in their organization.
Good deal. Yeah, hopefully these kids will stay here, that's the point, right?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're taking, that about a year's worth of speakers coming in, and as a council now, we're saying, well, how can we move the bar? How can we influence what these institutions are teaching their students so they can be more valuable when they come out and work in the organizations? And it's sort of a two-way street also, because one of the things that we often find is the expectation on the students' part is very different, from what reality is.
And
So-
since you're talking about students, and I can never get this thing in the right sequence, we've got a little segment we call "You Got One Text Job."
Oh, because they're good at texting.
Yeah, and they're good at
But
texting,
I'm
right?
not,
Because
but,
you can
you
see
know.
it happening all the time. And so Andrew, the job is Andrew's supposed to be able to know what this text is, but you have, if he doesn't know it, you get a point. But you have to tell me whether or not you think he knows this. He will know this. Now, Andrew's not the brightest star in the sky, because last week I even told it to him and he still got it wrong. So this week we put a photo in there to help you maybe guess what this text is. So do you think he'll know it?
No.
Don't think he's going to know it. Okay. I don't think he is either. But
I
anyway.
don't know. I'll take a shot.
Okay.
For the children of our lives or something.
No, nice try. Not even close.
All right, what is it?
Look at this. For crying out loud. I mean, look, it's George Bush and the baby crying.
I
Yeah,
should-
how
I
much
should
more
know
do I
that
have to
one.
give you on this one? So anyway,
Nice.
that's it. So you got one text job. So now it's 5-1.
5-1.
So that's where
At
we're
least
at.
I got one. I may never get past one.
Yeah, that's the one I told you.
That was the other week. That's right.
Anyway, so coming back, so you said you had the kids that came in, were part of this undertaking.
Well, we had the educators of the
Okay.
kids coming in.
Okay.
So what we're looking at doing is, what we've talked about doing and what we're putting together right now is we're saying, let's come up with a requirements list of what we as employers, potential employers of these students, would like to see in them. So we've actually had at our last meeting, we had a good discussion around what are some of the skills, both hard skills as well as soft skills, that we'd like to see these students come in with. So we're finalizing that. We'll have the council review it. And then at our next meeting, we're going to be talking about, well, what are some of the forums? How can we interact more with institutions of higher education? So it could be things such as mentorship programs, internships, sponsoring gatherings, so lots of different ideas out there.
Yeah, and one of the things that came, and I think it came as part of that is Kapiolani Community College has this forum every year where you sit down with their teachers and such, and they just had it last week. I had some from my organization there. We got 4 interns as a result of that. Just as a result of that. So we're going to be bringing in 4 interns this summer who are going to come in, and we're going to introduce them to technology from a business perspective and not just the scholastic piece, to see if that's something they want to do in their career. So so how many members are there in the CIO Council?
Our mailing list has about 145 people on it. We paying members, we have a little over 30.
Okay.
And at any meeting, we'll have between 20 and 30 people attend.
Show up at that, and it's a really and it's a really, I think, great forum to get.
It is.
Also, the CIOs can talk about who stole what employee from one other.
Is
there some of that?
Yeah, there is.
It's a great way to get together, and sometimes you don't know what's going to come out of the discussion. And there's these nuggets of gold that come out sometimes. You can't plan for it, you can't expect it. But it happens.
I was thinking also that, the relationships at that level, because businesses here, a lot of them serve each other and we have to work together. And, projects like IT projects can get expensive if you do them wrong or if you do them twice. So having, knowing there's people that you can work with can make that, I think, streamline some of those processes or get you better solutions, cheaper solutions, more evolved solutions, whatever it may be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a group of people, so they're colleagues professionally, but a lot of people have become friends. So you get to know these people, and you're willing to give them a call and say, hey, I'm running into this. Have you had that happen? What did you do? How did you solve it? Who might I call to help?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Your peers. And I feel like years ago, and I bet you the same. When we were first in healthcare, I didn't know who to call. It was like Ghostbusters, man. It was just like wasn't someone else that I could call that was struggling with the same amount, because we never had those kind of relationships. It was always the standoffish. I'm not talking to you because you're taking my people, and you're not talking to me because that was what it was. That's how I felt it was. It was very, very antagonistic in a way because of the fighting that was going on the cherry picking of all the quality staff. But it's nice to see that there's all of this happening, and we're talking with each other and deciding. Now, what's unique, you guys let vendors come in too.
Yes, we have vendor. So we have 3 classes of membership, actually. One is regular voting members. One is non-voting honorary members, which would be if you were formerly a CIO and you retired.
Like me.
And then the other class, which I think you folks are part of, is vendors.
So
non-voting vendors. But it's great because the vendors a lot of times have the solutions that we need. So for them to be able to hear what the issues are, and then to be able to speak in a kind of open, informal environment about what the solutions could be.
Yeah, it's not like they're sitting there selling, because they can't sell, right?
They can't. Correct.
They can just talk about tools that are out there. And they, and not
Exactly.
necessarily be specific, unless of course you're sitting there with your shirt on with the name on it. But they're trying to be more generic on what's going on.
Yeah.
When that building awareness, I think that, educating a group about the tool, because the vendors are typically more knowledgeable, right? They know all the facets of a tool, for example, or a tool set. And, you may own the tool and not even understand, there's a way to implement it. And so hopefully you get advice like that comes out of these types of meetings as well, I think. So having some of that presence, as long as they're not, shoving by this, by that down your throat, can help you be more effective as an organization. I think in cyber and IT and physical security, if we're not working together, we're not defending ourselves very well anymore. Nobody can do it alone.
For sure. Now, do you find that the universities, the community colleges are listening?
Well, all of them have said that they're very open to hearing feedback. And we're fortunate, with the University of Hawaii. David Lasner is an honorary, we told him, you're going to be
one of the founders.
lifetime CIO Council member. Wow. So David's there, and Garrett Yoshimi, who's now the CIO at the university, is a very active member of the CIO Council, and he spoke at maybe a couple of meetings ago, and he brought someone from the PCAT program at Honolulu Community College.
PCAT is the...
It's
Pacific something.
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what.
I'm drawing the blank on it. Says
But it's a great organization.
It is,
I mean, they
yeah.
offer a lot of great classes.
Yeah,
down
lots
there.
of
And they're-
education,
and they're,
technology.
It's PCATT, right? It's
Correct, PCATT. Yeah.
technology.
You know what? Zuri just whispered in my ear. Got one text job.
Oh yeah, let's bring that. Let's use PCAT next week. I'll learn what it is
I
before
love it.
that.
Total interaction around here. Total interaction. Emily, do you know what it stands for?
But they're great, and they have a new leader. They have a new director
Mm-hmm.
of PCAT, and that's why he came in and spoke about what his vision is, and he was very open to interacting with the council members. So a lot of the council members feel that by working together as the CIO Council, we can have more impact than each of us individually trying to approach the university or different educational institutions about things that we'd like to see done.
So how does someone find out to some of our people that join us here, qualify to be part of that organization? How do you find out how to become a member of the CIO Council?
You can contact myself. You can contact.
Contact
Gordon.
me.
At Hibachi Talk.
Yeah, just go
We'll
at
get you
Hibachi
on there.
Talk. Send us
We'll
a
hook you
note,
up.
and we'll be sure to let people know how to be part of it.
Right.
I mean, Hawaii Pacific Health is very generous, and they
Yes.
allow the CIO Council to use their conference facilities downtown. So it's very high tech.
Yeah,
facilities,
very high
nice.
tech, relatively convenient for
Yeah.
most people, especially if you work downtown.
Yeah. So what do you where do you see the future of it going? You've seen it evolve. You've been the chairman for
Just about a year.
a year.
Just
right?
about a year, yeah.
You were the guy that instrumented the social get-togethers.
Those are fun.
Those
You
are
know,
excellent. Yeah.
So yes, social get-togethers. We said, we meet at 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Right.
that could be a
Most
drawback for
CIOs
some people.
most CIOs are up at that time.
5-ish, yeah.
Yeah, so we meet at 7 o'clock in the morning. The meetings don't go longer than an hour. We try to end by 8 so people can get out, get to business. But we said, wow, we meet, we get together, but we don't really get a chance to socialize. So we started having these social gatherings. So I think we're having them about twice a year.
Okay.
The first one we had over at the Pacific Club, second one we had at Oahu Country Club. Our vendors have been very generous in helping sponsor,
Help fund
pay
that.
for,
So again, it's something that is a very valuable organization within the state of Hawaii. They are very much in tune with what's going on. I think I would encourage any of you that are involved in tech and can be part of that operation should be part of it.
Yeah, we'd welcome anyone who wants to join. Again, we're looking at the top IT person in an organization.
Okay.
Get in contact with Gordon.
Yeah, yes, and you can check us out at PAXO, or you can check us out at Hibachi Talk. You can even send Angus an email.
That's right.
So, and he'll be able to do that. Well, we're getting up on the hour, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it's just ladies and gentlemen, and our guests who have joined us. And Alan, this is, these are going to be one day, I have no idea the value, but can you?
It'll be priceless.
Yeah, priceless. We give all of our guests a autographed solo cup. You get to take that home and have it bronzed or
Cool.
gold-plated or whatever.
We don't want anybody to go away empty-handed.
We don't want anyone to go empty-handed. And I really want to thank you, and good luck in your career and what's
Yeah,
going on
thank
over
you.
there at Hawaii Pacific Health. We'll be in touch, I'm sure, on a regular basis.
Yes,
This is it. We're now just wasted another lunch hour. We certainly enjoy you all for coming and spending time with us. And just want to remember a couple things. It's like, aloha and how you doing?